No buzz. A Just Bees book club. Today I'm going to talk about When the Emperor Was Divine by Julie Otsuka. This will make zero sense if you have not watched my previous two videos about her books. Her latter two books, as a matter of fact, The Swimmers from a while ago, and The Buddha in the Attic from just a few minutes ago, at least as far as my life is concerned. And to make that point very specifically, when I said at the end of the video for The Buddha in the Attic that maybe you should be considering all literary fiction as though it was a media property, I was not talking about making a bunch of fucking wikis and cross-referencing and fact-checking every little bit and shipping whether fucking Iron Man can beat Batman or whatever. I am talking about from a material production standpoint. That certain things are produced because they are assumed to be profitable, and the ways that artists, auteurs, as we talk about in film, become less a means of the production of not the means of production, but a means of the production of particular kinds of arts, and more a marketing category, in the ways that certain kind of minoritized literatures are uh, built into, are sort of subsumed into larger publishing cultures that are interested in reproducing um, stereotypes in such a way as to maximize perceived profits by certain, let's say, racial groups, let's say white people. Um, when the Emperor Was Divine is Julie Otsuka's first book. It came out in 2001, I believe. As I said before, I think she seems to be on the track, 2002, of writing a book just about at the beginning of every decade. So we got 2002, When the Emperor Was Divine, um, 2011, The Buddha in the Attic, and 2021, The Swimmers. Um, I like both The Swimmers and The Buddha in the Attic more than I liked When the Emperor Was Divine, but that's for strongly formal reasons. Uh, when the Emperor Was Divine is her most, from the point of view perspective at least, the most conventional of her novels, I would say. It is told basically from a sort of shifting point of view of four members of a Japanese American family, that starts when the internment notice happens, goes back a little bit, or the generalized internment notice is announced, and then goes on throughout internment and ends up with the return home and reestablishing a life. Um, the thing that I got from this book more than I got from the other ones, or that this book shined a light onto her later books for me, was, I mean, number one, it allowed me to see that how she had progressed into her ability to talk in the first person plural, and jump POVs in really interesting ways, especially in The Swimmers. Um, but the thing that I came away from this one specifically, like learning about her writing, is how she being Julie Otsuka, the author of this, seems incredibly capable of doing this thing where she will write in such a way where it seems obvious where the plot should go, and then so you think, oh, she's going to take it do this other way to make it more devastating, because her books are devastating, just straight up. That's she works in a devastating mode that is like incredible to me. um, but instead of just like flipping your expectations, she seems to be very, very good at considering deeply what what could be devastating here, and then following through to the next step, and sometimes even the step after that. So one of the main subplots of this book is that um, this family is being sent into an internment camp specifically because they are Japanese Americans and for no other reason. Um, with the exception of one member of the family who's the father, because the father's already been in detention and being detained as an enemy alien for reasons that are unclear. As which is to say, uh, they're not unclear at all, right? He's detained because he's a young Japanese man in America after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, who uh, somebody decided it would be expeditious for him to not be around anymore. Um, but also that's unclear to the kids, right? Because they're like being fed this propaganda that like they must, well, he must have done something wrong, else why would he be being punished? Um, and there's great bits of this book that just deal with the internal psychology of being like young and being displaced and punished for no reason, and the ways that that can lead to being like, well, fuck, what have I done wrong? What did I fuck up to make this happen to me? When the answer, of course, is um, you were living in a racist state. You were living in a colonial state that does not value the lives of Japanese Americans at this particular moment. Um, the here's I'm just gonna spoil this one. So if you haven't already cut away because you haven't watched the videos about the earlier books and are just watching this one because you're interested in this book, stop. Um, this book ends. This is the spoiler. This book ends with uh, the written confession of the husband, the father. There's a long not long. It's like a 3 or 4 page confession in his voice. I believe it's the first time we get his voice in the book, or his point of view, his perspective. Um, it is as I said about the Buddha in the attic. It is a beautiful mixture of devastating and heart wrenching and condemnatory. It is a it is a beautiful fuck you that is heartbreaking to witness. Um, the thing that happens before that, though, that and I think in a lesser book you would have seen is, um, this book ends with the family home waiting for the dad and like the implication that the father has passed away in custody, because that's a monstrous thing. That's a devastating thing. uh, what instead Julie Otsuka does is make us witness what happens when he returns, and not in a like sensationalist way, in the simple moments of a child reckoning with what the criminal justice system has done to their father, um, that makes him just not capable uh, of care, uh, and it's fucking gut wrenching. Um, Not just because the truth of that is gut wrenching, but because this whole book is about this family being sent to a camp because they, uh, w- well, some of them were born in Japan. Um, if someone is watching this, and if that someone better be a bee, um, because this is a Just Bees book club, it's just for me, really, who is not familiar with Japanese internment and needs a literary fiction way to engage with it. I think this is a very strong one. I think No No Boy by John Okada is also a very, very important book. Um, I think those are two paired together. I haven't read that one in a long time, so I can't speak to any particular traumas or content that might be um, in need of a warning. Um, but that's a book that uses stream of consciousness in an absolutely devastating way as well. That dives into the heart of uh, the absolute terror of this moment of concentration camps in the United States that is still is, I guess, just now passing from living memory, and that is largely unforgotten. Um, those are two good literary introductions, I guess, and I would say this is worth it for those sort of aesthetic educational purposes, which is different from pure educational, which is different from pedagogical, which is to say, I think this could fit in this when the Emperor was divine and No No Boy could obviously fit in a pedagogy, but all to say, another brilliant book from Julie Otsuka. I've now read everything she's written in terms of novels. They're all light in terms of word count. They're all devastatingly heavy in terms of content and truth and aesthetic beauty. Um, just genuinely one of my favorite authors that I hadn't found until literally this year. Can't recommend her work highly enough. Yeah, genuinely uh, excited uh, in the event that I'm still around in 2032 or whatever, and her next book comes out to uh, probably have reread all three of these in the interim, and yeah, just go in. Yeah, Julie Otsuka, a truly phenomenal writer, uh, someone who tackles things in incredibly human ways that I have not even spoken to how specifically beautiful her prose is. I have alluded to that a number of times. Um, yeah, there's a good chance at some point I will literally just go over and pick up one of her books and flip to a random page and just read a couple sentences. Like that's how fucking gorgeous her writing is. Cause I know that I will be moved, even if I've completely forgotten the context of what's happened. Just yeah, just incredible sentences, uh, really powerful subjects, really interesting structures, and most of all, the thing that I've actually talked about most, which is god damn, her use of POV is so cool and exciting, and it makes me want to be oh, where else can I find this? Who else has done this? I need to read more of this. I just need to engage with this incredible use of perspective shifting that, especially in her later books that I covered in earlier videos, it's so fucking smart about the first person plural. Literally the only other thing I can think of off the top of my head that uses the first person plural as devastatingly as she does is We Know the Devil, a game by Worst Girl Games. It's a visual novel. I wrote about it for Strange Horizons a billion years ago, and specifically on this topic. And I've been thirsting for that since that fucking game came out in 2013. Um, and to find out Julie Otsuka, fairly well known literary figure that is working in that same space, was ah, 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 love it. Yeah. So reader books, they're heavy and uh, can be exhausting, and sometimes we need to put them down. And also, every fucking sentence it just will sparkle in your brain, or maybe it won't, because maybe you're not a bee and you shouldn't be watching this. So, in that case, thanks for not watching.